What's up, guys? This is Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, and the whole markets. I'm going to break down some big news that just came out that's very important involving Tesla, the FOMC meeting, and what's happening with the whole Israel Iran situation. Just know that I am not a financial planner. Take nothing I'm saying as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire community as a whole. Anyways, as far as Tesla's going, as you guys could tell, the first thing that's very evident is this double top setup. We have this double top right here, and this could lead to more downside if Tesla continues to reject near 320. And if we fail at 312, we're looking for a big move back down towards this resistance becoming support at 303. Now, if you want to be bullish, you want to get back above this 321 area to push back up. And if we can't see that, we're going to be favoring downside back down to that 312 area. That's going to be very, very important, very key for how we're looking. So keep that in mind. There is still that risk of us retesting 312. Now, whether we get a big bounce or a big rejection also depends on another factor I want to talk about. That's going to be the FOMC meeting. First, let's talk about some news about Tesla. I'll talk about that. There was some bad news that came out yesterday evening about how Wells Fargo was warning about weak Q2 deliveries, free cash flows under threats for Tesla, according to them. Wells Fargo is saying this as a result of what we're seeing in the current sales data. So, if you look at what's happening with sales data in Europe and other areas, they are worried about Q2 showing some weakness. They also have an estimate of about 343,000 deliveries. That's 17% below the Wall Street consensus. They also said the new Model Y appears weak given the inventory building and promotions. And there's also no update on the affordable model. So they have a more different view from what other people are expecting. However, at the end of the day, I do respect their opinion. And even if Tesla does get a weak Q2, right, they have so much going on that could really offset that. Such as the robo-taxi and a lot of other plans for expansions. There's also news that came out about how Tesla is planning to pause the Cybertruck and Model Y production during the July 4th week. They're doing that for maintenance reasons, and this was a little bit more negative as well for them. Despite all this negative news, although Tesla's been dipping a bit, it's not losing the 200 EMA yet. So there could be some consolidation. Be careful in case we do end up losing it. We'll have to see how well we end up holding up. Now, keep in mind, today is Wednesday, June 18th. This is very important because we just got some housing data. Everything is pretty much very close to what we were previously expecting. And then as time goes on, we have our bill auctions coming out at 11:30 a.m. May cause a little bit of volatility here and there, but the main time for volatility will start at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Since we have the interest rate decision, we know the Fed's going to keep rates the same. There's a 97.3% chance they will. But the FOMC economic projections right here is going to be important. Are we going to see less projected cuts than before? Or are we going to see more? We'll have to see about that. So that's going to give us more insights about what the Fed is expecting 1 year out, 2 years out, and beyond. And then at 2:30 p.m. we have the press conference with Jerome Powell giving a speech. So that's why there's going to be a lot of volatility at 2 and 2:30 p.m. Now, Tom Lee has said that he thinks that, and he's a very important analyst from Fundstrat. He has said that he expects the markets to bounce very soon and possibly after FOMC. And he thinks that the market could be making new all time highs. So we want to have the bullish and bearish cases in mind. Besides that, President Trump did mention that he's not happy with the way Iran was behaving, and he is currently contemplating the whole situation. He's weighing in on U.S. strikes as we're starting to see lots of tensions between Israel and Iran, and now the U.S. could be getting involved. We'll have to see what President Trump has to say. He did mention these things yesterday, so I already went over these, so I'm not going to go over all the details, but you could read these, you guys, yourselves. So President Trump has been talking about how we've controlled the Iranian skies, and he also said that he knows where the supreme leader is hiding. He said the U.S.'s patience is thin, and if Americans are once again hurt, then he's going to have to result in getting the U.S. involved. So we'll see about that. He may be making a big announcement today that could also affect the markets. Besides that, we have the Fed meeting very soon, and there's nothing else that's too crazy on the news. We're going to wait and see what happens with this decision. Is President Trump and the team going to be announcing, the launch of military strikes against Iran, or are they going to stand out? We'll have to see about that. Anyways, let's talk about the news and the data. Now, I'm sorry, let's talk about the charts now. Excuse me, guys. So, as far as SPY is going, we had a high there. We came down with a lower high. We're going to see if we break past 325 to bounce. If we break 325, we could be bullish to push back up to the highs. But if we're bearish, you want to see us essentially retest 312 and then fail there. If that fails, we're looking for a move back down to 303. This is the resistance becoming support right here. In my opinion, I think that the odds are favoring basically coming back down towards 312, kind of consolidating between 312 and 312, 312 and 320, excuse me. And then we could be coming down later if we end up getting some downside. I think we consolidate in this range for now until we get the Fed decision. Then the Fed's going to launch this back up or back down depending on how it goes. But for now, look for some consolidation between 312 and 320. I think Tesla's going to be stuck in that range. For SPY, we're also range bound right here. We have resistance around the 600 area, and we have support at 597. We're still kind of going back and forth here. Could be another dip right here before it consolidates. Then we're going to see if this breaks out of this flag right here. If we get a bullish move thanks to Jerome Powell, or if it's the opposite and we end up dumping back down to like 592 or below. Could go either way depending on FOMC. For now, look for a little bit of downside and some consolidation like this between 596 and 600. Then we'll see if we break up or down, so give that some time. On the QQQ, it's the same thing essentially. We could be dipping to 528. We're going to see if we bounce or not off of that. That's going to be our range, 528 to 530. If we break 533, we're more bullish. If we end up losing 525, we're more bearish. Otherwise, we're just range bound. So we're going to be watching to see which way we go. I do anticipate some consolidation for the most part between 531 and 528. And we'll see which way this breaks, whether it's up or down. I do anticipate some sideways price action for now, though. Now, my concern is for the IWM. This is showing some weakness off a potential head and shoulders. So this might be dipping a bit more back down towards 205 to 206. And we'll see if it breaks out or not, but it's still looking kind of weak. ES is also very flat right now. If we break 6,100, we're bullish. If we lose 6,000, we're bearish. Could come down to like 6,030, rebound and trade sideways. Then we'll see if we bounce back up or back down depending on how things end up going. I anticipate we're just going to consolidate between 6,020 and 6,050. And we'll see which way we go from here. We're just kind of stuck, at least for the time being. For NQ also has this resistance around 22,200. If it breaks, it's bullish. But if we end up losing 21,800, we're going to be turning back down. I anticipate that we might consolidate between 21,900 or so, kind of trading sideways like this. And we'll see if we break out up or down, so give that some time. I do see a lot of sideways price action for now, though, around 22,000 until we get to FOMC. Bitcoin looks a little bit weaker here. It could be dipping a little bit lower. We're going to see if we could hold above 106,000. If not, there's going to be a risk of 102,000. For Tesla, like I said before, we have a double top setup. We're going to be favoring a move down to 312 and consolidation for now between 312 and 320. And then we'll see which way we end up breaking. Do we break 325 to be more bullish, or do we lose 312 to start dumping to the low 300s? It depends on what happens with, the news. For Nvda, we're also chopping here. We're going to see if this comes down to like 141 in case we lose 143.7, and watch to see if 141 holds. There might be a lot of consolidation in this range. If we break 145, we could turn more bullish, but I do anticipate some sideways price action. We'll see if we pump up or down. We'll give that some time at least nonetheless. For others out there, we have Aapl. Apple's kind of weak here, making lower highs. We could be dipping back down to 195. We're going to see if we bounce or not off of that level. If we hit 195, we want to see if this gets back above 198. But if we lose that, we could be dumping back down, so I need to give that some more time. For a few more, we have AMD. AMD is pushing very nicely, but you want to be careful because even if we do gap up, we have to hold above 130 to remain bullish. And if we can't, we have a gap to fill. So it could be retracing towards like 126 again before it tries to bounce. There might be a small retracement. PayPal is barely holding 70.6. We got to hold that. If not, we're going to be at risk of dipping to 69. On Coinbase, you have 251 as the main support. If that fails us, we're looking for 243. And we have resistance at 258. So we're going to see if we reject or not. Amazon's dipping here. We have 214 as our support, not to mention 212. And we have resistance up here around 217. Could be retesting 214. We'll see if we dip or not. For Meta, we're also trading sideways here. I do think this could be pushing for 704 as long as we don't lose 695. So there's potential in this. Google's consolidating. We're going to see if we end up pushing back up to 178 or above. And as far as Microsoft goes, we're going to be looking for 475. If that fails, we could be dumping back down to the low 470s. We're going to see if this is like a head and shoulders, if we're about to see some downside. But I anticipate 475 to be retested. So that being said, we're going to see how this ends up moving. The market's kind of flat right now. And I do see some consolidation. Tesla could dip a little bit more into like 312. We're going to see if that holds. If not, we could be dipping into the low 300s. So I do anticipate some consolidation and a downside risk. But then keep in mind, with everything that's going on, we have to see what happens with Israel and Iran, the whole situation, and also FOMC causing a lot more volatility. Until then, we may just remain range bound for some time, so keep that in mind. FOMC is going to cause a lot of volatility most likely, and we'll see how it goes. Thank you for listening, and peace out.